touring back in the 70s. And I remember walking to a holiday in Michigan, I said it was true. And I turned and I looked in the mirror in the Holiday Inn room, and I scared myself to death.
You were too thin?
I was so skinny. My hair was all split ends and scraggly, just sticking out. And I was pale. I had sunken eyes. And I thought I was doing great. You know, I was young, I was working.
I've been there. The only time being full-on vegetarian ever worked for me was when I did yoga like all day long, like 3 times a day.
Right. So that would supplement your energy level.
Well, what that does is it creates like a highly affected endocrine system.
Oh, okay.
And your glands are all like pretty much finely tuned.
Right.
So you can get, you know, you can derive what you need, basically.
Well, I like it. I like the feeling of doing vegetarian.
Mm-hmm. I think it's hard for me to be completely vegetarian doing body work.
Yeah, it takes muscle for you to do that stuff.
Yeah.
But the,
But I've been doing pretty good,
good.
you know, with my diet.
Well, when the Dalai Lama came over, one of the first times he came over here was, oh no, it wasn't him, it was his contingency of Buddhist monks. And they were doing the dance, the singing, chanting, and the horn. I'm not sure. But, you know, most of us, big dance. And all the orange, you know, robe monks, and go and look at it. Huge display of food.
Right.
And they went right for the ham, right for the beef, and Coca-Cola. And it blew everybody's mind.
Really?
And like Steven Seagal, you know, the whole list.
Yeah.
And people were like horrified. And the monk realized, he explained to them, he says, because we don't eat meat doesn't mean we don't like meat.
Right.
We don't have any meat.
Right. So they're taking the opportunity.
Pretty practical, you know.
Somebody told me they were at some Buddhist talk. This guy was talking. Right. This woman was like, you know, I've tried everything to lose weight.
Is that one fellow enough for you?
Yeah. Okay. And he said, you know, I think you live where there's too much food. You should come live where I live. People don't have enough food to eat. And that was it.
Did they get through to her?
You know, I don't know. I wasn't there. It was a story I heard.
Yeah, I had similar stories.
But that may be hard for somebody like that to comprehend. You know, somebody who's in a Western society and all the media is like be thin.
I'm sorry. Okay, now I can hear you.
No, I was just saying, you know, to be here and most people eating stuff off the shelf, they don't realize it's full of sugar. That they need to, if they need to eat healthy, they need to, you know, empower themselves to understand what they're eating. And if they want to lose weight, they have to exercise.
Yeah, I did a therapy session, so I will go out there. We had it.
You got to move, yeah.
Seems like go to the weight room in the gym, start lifting weights.
Go down to the beach and walk every day.
This was in Kansas.
Oh.
You know, what beach is? We need beach. What is?
Yeah, right.
It's the beach. So it's like. Get up to 10 pounds. So,
Where's everybody?
So I'm gonna do that.
Okay.
So it was a transformation.
Good.
We had me have to fight times. It's a festival. Frequent festival.
Mm-hmm.
It's manageable. Hold on.
The shower room is big.
Well, the shower rooms, yeah, it's all, community shower rooms. Everybody takes showers together.
Really?
Yeah, it's a family-oriented pagan event.
Oh.
Been going on for 30 years.
Really?
Yeah, they hadn't had it for 5 years. But it's been an annual event from all the weekend. This next one they're inviting me to next year is 30 years. So it's the nicest run festival I've ever been to. It's the cleanest. It's the best organized. It's really good business.
What else do they have going on there?
They have this festival one year. The land is owned by a separate corporation. They're real smart. They got a lot of good lawyers. So this Heartland Spiritual Alliance, uses the land for these events. So it's like liability stuff. It's really spread out, smart. So it's a big pavilion on the top of a meadow, on the top of the hill, and Boy Scout cabins, 400 acres. Few, not many cabins. And then the rest is camping and lakes and trees and stuff. Gorgeous. And, is that loose enough again?
I don't know.
So then they have vendors. People come and they sell things. The clothes, the tchotchkes, all kinds of stuff. And it's really non-denominational. There's anybody who wants to do whatever, it's fine. But there's some, people dress up, fantasy wear. They walk around and they dance. Oh, they're behind you. But as a civic organization, they're very aggressive. They have children's events in the city in Lawrence where there's exercise and community relations, and they teach at the local college. They have like Wicca, pagan classes, and the ritual history and all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
And they also beat back the local conservative contingent who tried to put them under more than once.
Really?
And they beat them off every time. And because these people are smart, a lot of people think pagans are like idiots. No, these people are like outside the box. and so that's what I've been impressed about this area. Kind of like Berkeley in the '60s. And there's a lot of stuff going on, really progressive thinking, and interesting people. What? Yeah. Like they had me at the university in Lawrence, at Kansas State, University of Kansas. Yeah, which one? It's like walking down Telegraph Avenue. It's just kind of like,
really?
Yeah, just health food stores, bookstores, record shops, cool restaurants. It's like.
But they have lakes.
What?
They have lakes.
These lakes, yeah, in Greenland. It's full of old trees and stuff.
It's just hitting my
And,
foot.
so I did
Now we're good.
several events for subtle energy. The subtle, it's SEEM, SEEM, but it's subtle energy. So it's like, and it's a worldwide organization. They're all academics, There's MIT and Princeton and Oxford and all over, and Kansas is part of it, and Stanford, and they work with meditational energy. Oh yeah, there's a couple waters there.
In case I need it, I just had some.
So they had me drum with all these PhDs and stuff. And they explained to me the history of that organization. It started back in the early 60s when LSD was still legal. So it was at Princeton with Alpert and Leary and all the way across in Europe. So they were developing methods of metaphysical inquiry using the scientific method. But they were taking LSD. That was like, opening them up. There's a cosmos out there. So I was.
You vibrate inside you. That's why things seem so far out. They're not. They're in here. I think.
So the first time I was invited out there was in 2000, and they had read my first book. It was originally called "Let the Gods Dance." It was actually written exactly for that culture. I just didn't know it. So they said, "We read your book. We want you to come out and teach all of our drummers how to do this." So they flew me out, and I taught the drummers, and it was this amazing event. Showed them the downbeat. But then they said, there's 3 bullies, djembe cowboys.
What?
Djembe cowboys. Rednecks on djembes.
3 bullies.
Bullies, yeah. Big guys.
Djembe cowboys.
Yeah. And I said, wait a minute. And they said, they've ruined the fire dance for the last 3 years. No one can control them. They won't work with anybody else. They're jerks. And now the people who were running it, husband and wife team, and she was like the main business organizer, and he was more the creative. So I said, wait a minute, you hired me as I'm your hired gun to take these guys out? She said, yeah. She said, we read your book. You're the only one that understands this problem.
What? The only one. It's a mission impossible.
Okay. So I went up to the fire, and the kids were trying to drum. It just wasn't doing much. So I played a little bit, And one guy came over, can I study with you? Obviously, He says, I read your book, Really? They all read my book. And it's like, and then we got it going for a while. It was really nice. People were dancing, and it was really a mystical event. And so then the first night, everything was fine. The next night, the 3 guys were there. And they were banging, and they were just being jerks. And people were trying to dance. They couldn't dance. There was no groove.
Because these guys were just playing.
Yeah, they're just banging, just making noise. And standing out in the way. So people trying to dance around the fire, they couldn't because these 3 big guys were like in their way. Just sort of just commanding everybody to do it, whatever they felt like they wanted to do. So I went up to him and said, you can't do that anymore. And I had white tape on my hands, because I played hard. But you can't do that anymore. But I kept repeating that, and they're banging and they're cursing at me, I said, I'm not going to let you do that anymore. I said, you are big boys, and you're really scared, and you're making a whole lot of noise.
You said what?
I said you're big boys,
Okay.
and you're making a whole lot of noise because you're really scared. And he cursed at me, And I said, you don't respect anybody here. You don't respect the drummers. You don't respect the women drummers. You don't respect the women dancers. The fire tenders invited us here. Like biker talk. I went, like the promoters hired me, flew me out here to dust your lily white ass, which I will do if you want to go there. If you want World War III, right here, right now, I wouldn't advise it. And he goes, and somebody had my flyer, And he goes, huh? And they stopped playing. When I got to Frank Zappa, they stopped playing. Huh? And that's when I did this. Because I had my rig.
What do you mean when they got to Frank Zappa?
What?
Stop playing.
She ran down this list of people that I had the unfortunate, luck to play with. And she said, huh? And that always rings a bell. His name always rings a bell with people. They may have never heard his music, but.
Right. Of course.
So they stopped playing. I immediately got this basic pattern going. And all the girls came over and said, that's what we want right there. And this guy's just like, I said, and besides, the girls don't like you. And they just withered, these big guys, they couldn't maneuver around that. And they left. The next day, they came looking for me. They were going to beat my ass. They kicked my ass. Yeah, they did.
They went and got drunk. They were like,
So one of them came around. One of them eventually came around and was at my workshop. He got it. But it was a big schism, in the camp. I was like, oh. So anyway, now they have a pretty good group. 5 years later. 10 years later. 10 years later. So I knew I had to do that because our culture didn't have sacred space for dancing. Especially for women. And
yeah, every space that's created for that is not a safe space.
Exactly.
And it's created specifically, unless you go to a kirtan.
Yeah. But this was even before kirtan. So,
Or you can go to dance hall.
yeah, but if you're lucky, if your neighborhood had one,
Right.
but most people don't. This is really at the beginning, because what's her name out of New York, the dancer? The different rhythm structures. Gabriel Roth.
Oh, Gabriel Roth.
She hadn't even surfaced yet. So I was trying to explain to people, we have to have a sacred space for dance in this culture. And the people who will maintain that are the drummers. So they're not asking for sex. Leave the women alone. Let the guys dance. It took a while. But there I was, and it was working at this festival in Kansas. It's like, wow, it came to pass. Good sign. Because, they were safe. It was an organization run by women. And they would tolerate no nonsense at all. So I liked it. It was a nice organization. And it's real kid-oriented. Kids are... I'm watching them grow up. I've been over there for 10 years. Some of them are like teenagers now. They seem okay, compared to play. They're not angry. powers of the sun. Welcome, powers of the sun. Welcome, powers of the sun. Welcome, powers of the west. 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 Welcome, powers of the north. 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 Welcome, powers of the sky. Welcome, powers of the sky. Welcome, powers is great to look at and just see hundreds of people doing this.
Yeah? Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. What occurred to me when I was first going out there was that our culture is looking for ritual, and so they're going back and pulling from the Wicca and the European tradition. And I realized there was no rhythms, there's no history. Traditional cultures can go back thousands of years and trace their rhythms,
Right,
but we can't.
right.
And so my heart went out suddenly to my own people. And wow, okay, they were taken away, basically, from all those tribes across Europe. Through the Dark Ages, they were all eliminated. So all generation after generation had no sacred rhythms to identify their tribe with the land. This didn't
Right,
exist.
right.
So that hole, because it ended up being like this emptiness. Because when you hit this, it feels that vibration.
Because it used to be nature. It used to be, I mean, there were tribes and clans that, you had to like fight a bear and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So.
And they played drums. So up until the Crusades, there were no drums.
Yeah.
They were
Up until
the Crusades. And then the
religion won out.
Well, the Europeans sent, the Crusaders down there against the Muslims.
Right.
And the Muslims had rhythm. They'd been training to the drum for 1,000 years. No, I'm good. I'm going to put some tape on. So the Crusaders had no groove. So they literally, historical accounts, falling off their horses when the Muslim drums were coming out. Mm-hmm. Well, because they used a 6-beat pattern, it disoriented the inner ear.
Right.
So they brought the kettle drums back up to Europe. We don't know, somehow or another, this is, So they put them in the orchestra. Court orchestras, the only place. Don't give them to the people, it's too powerful. We lost 4 crusades because of this. It's like
But how did the drums come out of the culture? Because, I mean, every culture must have had something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, when the Romans came across enforcing Catholicism, they said, no, we can't let you do that. Nothing personal. But we'll burn you at the stake. Because it's not, our agenda.
Right.
We are dispersing, favors here through the church. And we don't want you out there banging on a drum, naked on a full moon, singing to God knows who. So it's like we grew very humbled about our sense of rhythm, and joined and dance and all that stuff became repressed and considered simple, because that was a definite way to control us. Because what that controlled was the life force, the Kundalini, the Orgone, whatever you want to call it, Mojo. So it's like good, everything was like Liz. So then Napoleon got the idea. He used marching field drums, using those rhythms that they came back from the Crusades, the 6 beats. So that worked pretty good.
Well, when he went to Haiti, that was a different story.
When he went?
He didn't stay there.
What?
He tried to take over Haiti at one point.
That didn't work.
No. Well, all of these African people that were displaced there, in an effort to control the African population, that was in Maya Daren's book. I was just remembering where I read it. That's when a kind of violent type of worship took place, was to defeat Napoleon and his army.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. And it's that powerful. So how have you directed is that powerful?
Yeah. Very violent.
Yeah.
Very bloody.
Yeah. Gotta read that book.
Yeah. Divine Horseman, Voodoo Gods of Haiti.
The film was just incredible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was very struck by that.
So it's that foundation for a lot of their rhythms.
Mm-hmm.
And Clive Bailey's is at Sabah, from African Senegal. Yeah, yeah. But, and
The
then
guy that comes here, Clive, you mean?
yeah, yeah. So, but it's really cooking. So we don't go that fast. We don't go there.
Right.
But the same 3-note combination, triplet combination, is a powerful mystical rhythm combination. And you don't have to do it that way to access those energy flows. So I'll do it here. 1, 2, 3. Because really, our culture, this takes a lot to process, this rhythm. Yeah, right. So that's you solve the problem. Because the way it started, that was the slave rhythm that came over, that 6/10. Rumba. It was a foundation. So when it finally got to New Orleans, it became the blues. Rhythm and blues. So it's a swinging kind of thing.
Hello.
I turned on, we stream on Google and Justin.tv. So if I'm not quick when I go on Justin, they go to a commercial before I switch over to broadcast mode. So then I see the commercials that are running on my channel on Justin. So most of the time it's like they're Mexican, they're Spanish commercials, you know, for
Okay.
the corn chips or whatever. This time it was Marianne Williamson.
Really?
Yeah, she's advertising on our channel.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, you know. Like, skip this ad. And no, I don't think I will. I think I'll just watch
I
it.
have to vote for somebody else because my mother has the lifelong duty to make sure that my brother, who's developmentally disabled, doesn't lose his Social Security. And she actually had to enlist Congressman Henry Waxman to intervene because they were so non-compliant with her, you know, filling out forms and making appointments, and they will always try and say that they paid you too much. They will always do that. They will always, and she was trying to get him from Social Security to SSDI, disability, and this Wendy Gruhl worked closely with Henry Waxman's office. Like this thing that I feel like I have to support. I don't know.
So what Marianne Williamson?
Huh?
What was
Marianne Williamson doesn't.
She's something else. She's, you know, she's trying to bring the consciousness up around government, and I think that that's really great. And, you know, she's really well known. But just as far as, you know,
Right, you know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there are people that are very experienced and are good people, and,
Yeah,
you know,
they're not stars. They're just good.
right.
They've been in the
They've been
trenches,
working at it.
yeah,
You know, they've been working with good people.
and they've been doing
Well,
Yeah.
somebody was endorsing Betsy Butler or something else in the Congress or something.
I don't, you know.
I haven't
follow too much.
kept. I look at the LA Weekly.
My mother marks my ballot for me. Because she spends a lot of time, you know.
Yeah.
I know I could, you know, she won't be around forever, so.
That's a good choice.
He's 3 years older than me, so he's 53 now. Really? Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so you probably know they do try and take away his money?
They're very, I'm his VP, so they're
Okay.
very, you know, it's not just happened recently. Mom passed away.
Got it.
She wasn't his VP, and she had an account with him. So, now we just phone call. This is to reaffirm that he was, I have some questions. I said, well, I hope so. So far, so good.
All right, well, if you ever need any help,
Oh,
I can put you and my mom together.
okay. Your mom has time.
She likes to help me.
Receiving healing, light. Giving, receiving, light. Receiving healing, light. And giving healing, light. Receiving healing, light. And giving, receiving, light. Joseph and Rick. Healing to 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 Joseph. Healing to Joseph. Wash away, wash away, wash away, wash away, wash away, wash away, fear. Wash away, wash away, wash away, fear. Wash away, wash away, wash away, fear. Wash away pain. Wash away, wash away, 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 wash away. wash away, wash away, wash away illness. 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 Yeah, I got everybody in Kansas to play a really nice clave. I got it. I got slowed it way down, and everybody like focused on parts, and it worked. It sounded
Cool.
good. It sounded really good.
Cool.
Is that not fun?
Yeah, there's two guys that came up in the clave. They were just sort of tapping on. They weren't really playing the clave. So I had to like explain, okay, the clave, you got to be true to the clave. And this is their, and it's like fast, it wasn't working. So I slowed it all the way down. I use a subtractive method of teaching in order to show people a syncopated note that they wouldn't normally hear. Because I tell people the ear is the laziest part of the body. It only hears what it wants to hear. So,
Really?
yeah, and so as a drummer, you have to train it to hear more smaller increments of time. So you can play the note where it's supposed to be where it's supposed to be. And the intellect and the ears go, yeah, this is close enough. So the clave is a 3-2 combination. 1, 2. Now, most people's ears in North America do this. They slide it to the next downbeat, it's close enough. That's not it. The second note. You got to get that upbeat. It's real syncopated. So most people's ears, they don't get that discriminating.
Right.
So I said, how do I teach this? How do you? Because I try years. So I said, okay, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And everybody hit 5 notes together. So the 5 notes end on a downbeat. So the belief system is really happy with that. It's really predictable. But the belief system doesn't want to go off that downbeat. So we trick it by subtracting the last note. That's your syncopated. That's the cool note. That's the clave. So a little faster. So you get a bunch of them doing this and the other half doing the. Keep going. I guess that's not public domain. Might be 40 years. We're worried about singing songs that we don't have clearance for on YouTube. So we hit these grooves and I remember all these songs, you know. It's all rhythmically based. We can do like that. I'm going to do a compilation album live from season. All your greatest hits. Drumming and vocals. That's the goal. Good. We're going down to New Orleans, gonna dance with the voodoo queen. Going down to New Orleans, gonna dance with the voodoo queen. Ah, yeah. Down the French Quarter, check out the scene. Gonna have some red rice and beans. Down the French Quarter, check out the scene. Get us some red rice and beans. Ah, yeah, ah, yeah, ah, yeah.
gonna sanctify our soul. Going out to see Madame Duval. She's gonna sanctify our soul. Going out to see Madame Duval. She's gonna sanctify our soul. Going out to see Madame Duval. She's gonna sanctify our soul. Ah, yeah. Ah, That's good. That was different. It's always different. I teach the same lesson, and it's always different. I love it.
You teach the same lesson and it's always different. Is that what you said?
Yeah, yeah. Because people play differently, but it's still the same thing. You know?
Yeah.
Because like what we did here was second line, and what I was doing out there at Kansas was like, it was the same notes. It's just the way people play.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I do it. So this one I really into that. Extemporaneously writing songs while we do this based on these eternal grooves, you know.
Uh-huh.
They gotta be hit songs.
Yeah, right. Right.
But it's fun. I'm going to start loading up on CD Baby and iTunes, all that stuff. Stuff that we do in here, if it sounds good. You know, I've been recording it. And I like the energy. See, the energy when you have people, it's real. And when you record songs and you overdub and all that, it's not real. I mean, it's not as often. So I did 4 seminars. One of them was on orgone.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, generator. This is an orgone generator.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave people a little bit of history on behind that. I like to should have flash it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I did one on quantum drumming. How we do affirmations when outside of time.
Uh-huh.
You defy logical, rational thought by drumming in such phrase as, I have never been a victim.
Ooh, I like that.
Right, it's really powerful. Like so, and I did it more than once, because the first time I did it, people just went with it. But then I got called on the carpet the next morning over breakfast. And the girl said, I was walking by and heard you do that. I have never been a victim. How do you tell that to a 3-year-old? And I went, I understand what you're saying. But the belief system has always been rhythmically programmable. That's how that trauma got in there. Mm-hmm. Repetitive abuse. So what we're doing here is creating a new group that's positive, self-affirming, that you're doing yourself. You're in control. And you change the belief system. Because rhythm changes the belief system. And it's like, yes, it may not sound true, but it's something you can work with. Because as it goes back, as your belief system reflects back off the history, it says, if I was never a victim, then what was I? You're a hero. You made it. Congratulations. So that it all ties into the inner child. Going to the inner child, recognizing the inner child as a hero, still fighting, still locked in, and bring the child out with the deep heart drum in the drum. So you're safe with me now. So it's, just repeat that and slow it down. Safe with me. Now I go back and forth. Safe with me. Now then the tears start. You're safe with me now. You're safe with me now. You're safe with me now. You're safe with me. Safe. And the other thing, I have never been a victim. 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 And then lastly, but not is, I have always been secret. 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 You're safe with me now. You're safe with me now. You're safe with me. You're safe. So I'm looking out when I'm doing this, I can see dozens of people weeping, with all sorts of movement. And they come up and thank me. And uh, well, shame on you for making people cry. She was joking, She ended up buying one of the drums that I was using.
Well, I think what it feels like is, playing the drum and saying that, it gives a resonance, right?
We don't have a vocabulary really for what it does,
Yeah, right.
but I've seen the effects. I witnessed tremendous movement in people's spirit, opening and healing.
Well, I've been going to this morning sadhana over at this new Kundalini place that's been open.
Okay.
I guess it's been open maybe about a year, maybe a little more. But I just don't want to drive all the way to Robertson,
Really?
at 3 a.m. because they do it every day 4 to 6. But I don't want to drive that because people are out drinking, and it's just I don't want to drive a great distance during those hours. So I just go over here where I was thinking.
Good.
And they've been doing this thing where you chant for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And I've been going, and this morning I had an interesting experience. I don't remember exactly what was said to me, but I think what the message I got was that because they're playing a recording of somebody who's chanting everything correctly, and I'm trying to stay in that sound current and not just say the sounds,
Yeah, the nuance of
right, because it vibrates the palate,
Yeah.
right? And so I think what I was told was that it starts with one sound, and then the subtle energies that the vibration of that sound creates spreads, creates more, central kind of energies that also create subtle energies, right? And I think that what I was looking at was how that happens in the brain, right, all over the brain.
Right.
So it happens all over the body,
Yeah.
within the body.
So what we just did with these long tones, I was hearing all three of us singing. It was really good. It sounded good. And it's funny. Some of the notes combinations are funny, but overall it's really powerful. And so what I feel that we're searching for is kirtan in English. Where it's just accessible. It's a little more identifiable with our cultural milieu. And I understand that the vowels, those sounds vibrate the universe. But I need to believe that there are also other sounds that we are more familiar with that can also vibrate the universe. And that's the detective story. Finding with the right groups. Because we got the greatest groups in the world. This cultural mix has got, just great, powerful, life-affirming groups. And we just have to find the right, lyric to go with for that sacred invocations. And so I'm constantly listening and learning from people rather than do it this way, let's do it that way. So when I do the recovery, I say, what's going on? Talk to us while you hit the drum. And I get it. It's like, oh, okay. People feeling worthless, and regret, depression, anxiety, lots of anxiety. So slowing the tempo is one of the main ingredients. He's going, this is not helping. This is not helping. So they're, he was the first, he just got it. So it's an attempt to make a sacred space out of what we have. And basically, I think we've been creating a thin air. It's just, we have no heritage for it. And so all of it is feeding in. Your experiences, everybody else. So I feel, okay, am I supposed to be documenting all of this? Because it's all profound as far as I'm concerned, really moving. So yeah, some of it could the resonant harmonies, the resonant frequencies. I was writing about this, it's also on a karmic level, where the resonances that we generate also move karma, move reactionary behavior, but also resonate like a gong through somebody's life. Right. And I said it could be a gong that has already been struck, or a gong that it knows will be struck. And it resonates all the way through a person's life, from the beginning to the end, more than one life. So these tones, these resonant tones, creating unlikely meetings between people. It's coincidental and strange, and yet become themes, and could be seen as themes from the beginning of that person's life.
And they can maybe protect people?
What do what?
Protect people?
Yeah. They are.
That they don't end up turning this corner when they could be turning another.
Right. The voice that opens is a voice that can be trusted because it's a truth. It's based on truth. And the critical mind starts to evaluate the different voices that are coming up. And the dysfunctional ones have a patina on them that becomes recognizable. And the ones that are speaking truth, they glow. There's light.
Because sometimes it can be, people believe they have the right intentions and they don't.
Deceiving. And what I've seen with this rhythmic pulsing is that it's a centering device for people, like yoga, like good yoga, where they're seeing and making clear judgments. And I've pondered why the rhythm does that. And I think that has to do a lot with the way the brain is constructed, the way our chemistry and our brain waves all function. Rhythm can do things. I think our intellectual critical mind doesn't truly understand rhythm, and it can be controlled using rhythm. That's why commercials have soundtracks. So it's like
Right, yeah. And I'm listening to an online program now by a theta healer about removing blocks, and there are sub-audible beats in it.
Yeah.
And I did one yesterday. I'm doing it out of curiosity, but also, I like what he's talking about. He gives lecture, and then there are block clearing sections. And I've done two. One was about the energetics of relationships, and the other one is like heartbreaking grief, belief systems around that. And when I did the second one, all day long, I felt unusual. I felt a lot of, like physical loosening around my heart, but also like I felt unsteady, unsure of myself. Like maybe that stuff in the subconscious coming forward, right? But I can't hear anything. But he's using like sub-audible.
Yeah. Okay, so what we would do in that particular kind of context is just set up just back and forth with your hand, deep tone, right? But use your fingers too, not this. Just come up quickly. Yeah, get that tone. Yeah. So there's no technique. You just medium tension on the hands. Just minimal technique. So we don't use any intellectual energy to play. You're feeling the tone. That's a meditation. So that's going to be constant. And then we're talking about relationships and grief and loss and pain. And then what is a relationship? What is a good relationship?
Right.
See how you jump ahead. Because that's a loaded point, right? All of us. So then you do the talking.
Okay.
And you know, and I can ask questions. It's a detective story.
Uh-huh.
Because what
Right.
we're finding is why you are who you are.
Uh-huh.
And by staying steady, what seems to happen is that you witness. And you go, wow, that's one, yeah, that's connected to that. And so you get an opening of an energy flow into an area of our being that's been clogged by, history, trauma, stress. So this moving, flowing grooves, like water, like Reiki, it seems to move through those areas of our being and clear it out, wash away. So all I do a lot of times is just witness and let the person say whatever they're capable of. I say, hit the drum, and talk. You talk about the weather, you talk about anything you want.
It's kind of hard to talk.
It is. Well, so what we do is we slow it down till we find their tempo. And it's got to be really slow for most folks. And it's like, doesn't matter if they lose it. Everybody loses it. But then you just get back on. And that's the good feel when you get back on. So when you lose it, you're probably being distracted by a major event, issue. So when you get back on, that event, that emotional charge of that event is diminished a little bit because this is more important. So it was not a roadblock, which happens in conventional psychotherapy.
Right.
You go there and there it is.
Right.
But here you just cruise on by it. Oh yeah, I remember that. I'm busy.
Uh-huh. Okay, I see.
So we're changing, we're recirculating. Like, yeah, it's there, I'm going here. And as a result, and you're doing something you like, it feels good. It's not like meditation where you're forcing, attention to be a place or, witnessing. This is just an action. It's physical, minimal intellectual involvement. So the critical mind gets put into neutral because of this pulse. It just goes into neutral. If you can stay slow and consistent enough. And that's when the truth comes out. Mm-hmm. That's when a person can say something, or they'll move through whatever they need to move through. And it's like if they're not speaking, I'll slow it down. And they'll falter. It's good. That's good because faltering, that means you're trying. And that's the only thing needed is to just try and just keep going. And that's, again, the model of just keep going, getting the beat. Moves people through tremendous trauma history that's locked into loops. And this is a fresh loop, a healthy loop.
Right.
And it moves them out of that, this habitual pathway gets changed. And you're changing it. But you're witnessing, you're from a removed objective place, more. So, this is a safe space. It's like this, and then the voices open up. When the subconscious realizes that it's truly a safe space, it does what it needs to do.
Mm-hmm. Then it will stop repeating itself?
Am I going to stop repeating myself?
No, will the subconscious then stop repeating itself?
Yeah, because it's not the subconscious that's repeating itself.
What is repeating itself?
The survival mechanism. It's only a machine.
Reaction to the subconscious?
It's well-intentioned. It's a survival mechanism that says, I'm going to play this loop over and over again so you won't do it again.
But then the same results occur.
It
You
does,
seek out the same situation.
right, and it doesn't realize that it's well-intentioned activity is actually, preordaining more behavior in that way.
Yeah, because I just went through experience and I realized I've been through that so many times.
Good. So now you're talking about it, and you're hitting the drum at the same time. So the charge is shifting. Because what you're saying now is that you have a perspective on it. You realize you got hit by that truck before. You know the license number on that truck, and then it happened again. But okay, I accept that. I forgive myself. This is life. This is the way I live. So you come to an understanding, a rationale in your language, because you're in control. You're doing this. You're not passive. You're not listening to somebody else's, psychoanalytic definitions. You're doing something. And when you work at it, you deserve to get better. That's a real basic premise, especially in our culture. So that was the first step when you just articulated, and that's exciting because that means you're gaining perspective.
So what I don't like is needing to make sense out of it.
No. There's no making sense out of it. It is what it is.
But also needing to understand exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's the paradox. So this note, non-note, in between the notes, the other shoe drops. And you get an intuitive sense of what it means. And I always quote Einstein. He said, the theory of relativity came to him in a flash between the second and the third step of his front porch. He spent the rest of his life trying to explain it.
Yeah, but it was a woman that
reworked his
and
blackboard.
she told him what she discovered. She was on her front porch watching an icicle.
So it got changed. So he probably lifted the whole concept from her.
Yes, he did. And then she protested a little bit because she was one of the very first female scientists that was accepted as a professional scientist. And they wanted her, then they said, well, you can come and help us build this bomb. She said, no, thank you. After you've stolen my concept, and now you're creating a weapon of mass destruction. I just talked about what happened to me. I realized I didn't mean that, but
Good.
somebody did steal something. My good energy, my welcoming, open heart for himself. I don't even think he knows that he was doing that. He thinks he was helping me. But he was helping himself.
Yeah. Usually the case. My uncle worked at Oak Ridge,
What's that?
Oak Ridge, Tennessee, where they built the first bomb.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you told me about that.
And the woman that was there, they tell you about the woman that ran the place? She was a physicist, one of the first women. I don't know if it's the same woman you're talking about or not.
I don't know.
But when they were ready to,
She didn't want to be involved.
yeah, the one you're talking about didn't want to be involved. Yeah.
She didn't, but I don't know if somebody got the story wrong. I mean,
Well,
Well, maybe there was more than one woman.
yeah, there has to be more than one woman scientist in the world. Atomic science. At least
and
a
there
couple.
was more than one woman. Probably more than 2, or 3, or 4. And on to the next one.
So,
I can help this other one,
yeah.
but I'm really helping myself to their good graces.
They were ready to start the controlled nuclear reaction. She was, the Fermi, the Italian was there, and Oppenheimer was there. and these two Marine guards. And they said, we would like you to throw the switch, speaking to the woman scientist. She'd been one of the formulators of the whole process. And so the Marines were offended. They said, no, you should, a man should do this. These are Marines, you know. The rest of them were scientists, but the Marines, they're the ones that were like insisting.
And they're still insisting.
Yeah.
Talk to all the women in the military.
But she did, she threw the switch.
She did.
Yeah, she's
Said,
cool.
Better me than you.
Yeah. Gunga dick.
You have enough to pay for.
Stealing, though. You know, the I Ching goes on about stealing. You know, it's like somebody takes a guy's cow because he wasn't paying attention to it. Those are hard. Those are hard for me to take, those.
Stealing.
Just pay attention to yourself. You feel that your own power has been taken from you because you weren't recognizing them as yours.
Right. Is needing recognition from another.
Respect. Respect yourself. Get away with it's game.
I was doing this in Tucson years ago, and a girl showed up, and she said her husband was in prison.
Was in prison.
Yeah, at this time. It's a little boy. I had. And she said she was driving the car one night, and he said, "Pull up here at this liquor store. I want to get some cigarettes." He went in and he came back. I said, "Drive." And she said, "What?" She said, "Get out of here now." So the police started chasing him, and he told her, like, speed up and get away from the cops. He'd rob the liquor store. And she started praying to herself that her and her child would survive, because she was terrified. She realized she was crazy. So he sensed that she was praying. And he looked, and they were getting away from the police. He says, "Whatever you're doing, baby, keep doing it." Well, eventually they caught him and put him in prison. But she said she found her power at that moment. She realized she'd been suckered and that she changed. And she had to protect herself, and she had to protect her baby and her child. And she put him in prison. And she did it. She's not free of it. She's I'm getting all these amazing stories, like hero stories. Because this identifies the hero in you, in all of us.
The hero has 1,000 faces. I never read that.
Oh, somebody stuck it in my face a long time ago and said, "You need to read this."
Really?
Ron Schultz, I think, yeah, one of my writer friends. Well, there was a group of people that were going to the Jungian Institute. They were getting therapy there, and Joseph Campbell was still around. So we went to listen to him. And that was moving. It was very powerful. To witness Joseph Campbell live, that was talk with him a little bit. So that that got me going. Okay, I'll pay attention to this. So I read a few. But, and then I was, getting therapy at the Young Institute. And one of my friends said that his therapist at the Young Institute was hitting a little drum. This was like 30 years ago. Hitting a drum while he was doing free association, Freudian classical Freudian association, while his therapist was beating on the drum. I said, how much you paying this guy? Because it all came back around. It was like full circle. The psychotherapist now using a drum. This was in 85, 84, 83. So then I knew, okay, new era. This changes the game for therapy entirely. Because as soon as you bring the drum into it, it encompasses a lot of different avenues of energy. So that's actually when I started building this concept, using the drum. But personally, you're doing it. You're not passive. Because you hit the drum, you talk to the universe. And the universe listens because you're rhythm. Rhythm is universe. And we're not playing anything special. You don't have to. Basic rhythms.
You know that group, Tribe Called Quest?
Yeah.
They had an album. You know what it was called? People's Instinctive Travels and the Paths of Rhythm.
I like that. I don't know them that well. I mean, I remember hearing it.
Yeah, I think I still have the cassette tape.
Yeah, they were when you still get cassettes.
Game Changers.
So what happens then, when you have this steady beat going into the subconscious, the inner child feels safe. Plus the inner child feels like it's being communicated to and listened to. Because children like the drums, it's some compatibility between children and drumming. It's ancient. So then the child becomes a companion of the adult. And so the adult's not alone. So the gifts from the inner child, they come forward. Creativity, joy, love, trust, energy, love, fun, happiness, all that stuff that children have. And when that split occurred, the original trauma event, that child made a split and said, okay, I have to stay here and deal with this. You grow up, run away, get away. Well, you can. I'll cover you. I'm going to hold out the bad guys. You grow up, live your life. Forget about me. Forget about this part of you as a child. So when we, call to the inner child, John Bradshaw is great, but it's intellectual. This is physical. So the child, very worldly child, says, look, I know, talk is cheap. Heard it all. But this is kind of cool. What is this? What's the pulp? So we create a bridge. I always use that phrase. We create a bridge using the drum to the inner child. Now I'm working for bridges to recovery. That's what I talk about resonances. Like my grandmother was totally into faith healers. So I was 8 years old, 8, 9 years old. We would go every summer and watch the faith healers. This time of year we would go to Lake Billy Sunday and Oral Rouse. And this is what I'm doing. But it's like what they were doing, always not Christian. Generating the sacred energy. I'm still into the lecturing mode, I guess. What time is
That's
it?
okay. I got a sense of what you were telling me you would like to do with people before.
Like what to do? with
You were telling me about doing this kind of thing
Yeah,
with people.
yeah. And it's an evolving therapy, but it's powerful.
Mhm.
So when I go back out there, they know because I go there. Yeah, I want a therapy session. We have people laying on the stage this time for the vibration.
Oh, right.
That's good. Yeah, that's when you wash away all this.
Yeah,
stress.
yeah,
The vibration that comes up before. It's a big part of the stage. Huge. So it's really nice. Lots of vibration. That's where it started out there. And we'll just the original healing vibration coming up through the floor. I've done it a bunch of places. No small thing. But I wouldn't be doing it something like that.
Uh-huh.
Because it's nice to focus on somebody who's just there feeling the vibration.
Uh-huh.
And you know, take your attention and span out of your own predicament and put it into somebody else's. You know,
Right.
And really wonderful. People get better. Stuff happens. You know, it's just good, gentle, healing energy. Imagine.
Mhm.
So all this stuff is like fresh in our culture. Not a lot of what that is. What time is it?
9.
Is it 9 o'clock?
Is it already 9? Oh, my.
Want to do a closing or?
I like this guy. Yeah. Who plays that lion drum over there? I just noticed that one.
Yeah.
Me? No. I thought it was odd for me to notice it. Like, a panther is more my thing.
Panther.
Yeah, you know. Or a leopard. The sleek movers, you know.
Yeah. Thank you, powers of the east. 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 Thank you, powers of the south. 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 Thank you, powers of the west. 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 Thank you, powers of the north. 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 Thank you, powers of the sky. Thank you, powers of the sky. Circle drum band. Circle drum band. Tower broadband. Tower broadband. Tower broadband. Tower broadband. Protection surround. Protection surround. Protection surround. Protection surround. Sacred abound. Sacred abound. Sacred abound. Sacred abound. Let the goddess dance. Let the goddess dance. Let the goddess dance. Let the goddess dance. Great Spirit, bless our endeavors. Great Spirit, bless our endeavors. Great Spirit, bless our endeavors. Great Spirit, bless our endeavors.
How much do you sell the drums for? Are they all different prices?
Most of them are
Oops.
$8.50 or $7.50.